Don't Toy With Me Nagatoro is a series that has a special place in my heart, as not only did it take over the genre of romance by storm for the past 7 years, but it's a series that I'm not afraid to admit that I spent my high school life following. Nagatoro since 2017 has consistently grown in its audience and has stood well above other hard-hitting romances like Teasing Master Takagi-san, Komi Can't Communicate, Uzaki-chan, Tomo-chan, Shikamori's Not Just a Cutie, and many others. Now, I'm going to be breaking down the entire timeline of how Nagatoro went from a sadistic Sado to a lovey-dovey girl from the beginning to the end of the manga. Be sure to watch until the end of the video to find out about the odd creator's early life and how he came up with Nagatoro. Now, let's jump right into it. Chapter 1, Their First Meeting. The main character, known only as Senpai, is in his normal place of peace when he's disturbed by a rowdy group of first-year girls that he's never seen before. As a naturally timid person, he loathes these types that are obnoxious and completely inconsiderate of others, as he continues to work quietly on his manga. It wasn't his lucky day, as some of his panels fell down and were exposed to the group, as they all shared a laugh at his expense. They eventually leave except a petite tan girl who remained. While she may look innocent from the outside and initially pretended to flirt with him, he quickly learns of his underclassman's sadistic streak. He began to tease and insult his work, to the way he looked and carried himself, causing him to cry.
What was that?
This marked the beginning of the relationship with Nagatoro. Despite her seemingly cruel demeanor, she was clearly intrigued by him. Chapter 18, Caught in the Rain. And without hesitation, Nagatoro invites Senpai over. He anticipated that her family would make fun of him in his mind, but to his surprise, she tells him that no one is home. After they dry off, he finds himself in her room. This is the first time he's ever been over to a girl's house, let alone in a girl's room.
Yes.
Once she got tired of teasing him, they decided to play video games. To her surprise, he was quite good at them, and they spent the afternoon gaming together while having a good time. Rain eventually passes, and they say their goodbyes as she invites him over again. Chapter 26. While they've been regularly hanging out, this is their first date together, or something that resembles that. They started off in a group with Nagatoro's other friends, but as the night went on, they split off and did their own things. Nagatoro wanted to humor Senpai by suggesting that they pretend to be on a date. They decide to watch fireworks together, and this is the first time he takes her arm and leads her to a viewing spot. They find the perfect spot and enjoy fireworks together, and Nagatoro teases the idea of sharing a kiss. While it initially came off as a joke, she didn't seem opposed to the idea, but before anything happened, they realized that they were in an area filled with couples getting down, which makes things more awkward between them. They quickly left and enjoyed the rest of the fireworks together in a more modest place. Chapter 34. Nagatoro's friend, the unkept Gyaru, bursts into the classroom and begs Senpai to be her boyfriend. Everyone was initially shocked, especially Nagatoro, but she quickly explains that it's to scare off a persistent stalker. Nagatoro does her best to talk them out of the idea, but to no avail, Senpai reluctantly agrees to help the Gyaru. The next day, he meets the Gyaru for their date, although it was supposed to be a fake date. She came dressed nicely. They set off, and Nagatoro and her friends follow closely behind them. The date was going well as the two enjoyed chatting amongst each other, as they rarely ever even interacted alone before this. Nagatoro's group noticed this chemistry and began to tease her about it turning into a real date. At her limit, Nagatoro interrupts the two by taking things into her own hands and catching the stalker. The stalker apologizes, and Nagatoro is pleased that the date has come to an abrupt end. Chapter 59 through 61. Senpai hasn't heard from Nagatoro for a few days and has started to worry that she may have finally gotten tired of being around him, or something actually happened to her. He's informed by her friends that she's been out with a cold and they suggest that he go out and drop off some notes for her. He ends up buying gifts for her family, as it's a customary thing to do when meeting a family of friends or loved ones for the first time. After no one answers the doorbell, he enters the gate on his own when a cute girl catches him. She threatens to call the police, but soon recognizes that it's Senpai from school and invites him in. He soon finds out that it's Nagatoro's older sister and that she knows much about him. It seems like teasing runs in the family as she continues to grill him about his feelings on her little sister. But before he could answer, Nagatoro shows up in her pajamas. Still half asleep with fresh bed hair, she quickly realizes Senpai is in her house and reacts accordingly. But at the sight of Senpai, Nagatoro scurries away in embarrassment and quickly grooms herself before appearing again. One-chan prepares the pudding that Senpai bought as a gift. It makes Nagatoro very excited, as it's one of her favorite desserts. Her sister was looking forward to grilling the both of them, so Nagatoro suggested that the two of them eat in her room. They're enjoying themselves when Nagatoro decides to feed Senpai. Just as he takes a little bite from her spoon, the sister bursts into the room, catching both of them in the act. The sister enjoyed seeing Nagatoro nearly dying of embarrassment. After eating, they decide to play with some game from the last time he visited. They made a bet that if he won, she would reveal her name to him.
What a joke. Wake up with some action. Lost to another trash player. Another garbage random.
After a heated match, he won by disqualification, and just as she was about to reveal it, he stopped her and proclaimed that one day he would ask on his own merit rather than just by winning a bet. Just then, the big sis Toro breaks in and calls her by her first name, Hayase. They all spend time together looking over embarrassing childhood photos of Nagatoro, and in the evening, he says his goodbyes and heads home. As he walks home, he says her first name to himself. So Senpai and Nagatoro visit the Kyoto Jushu Love Shrine. Nagatoro suggests that he should participate to see if they're compatible romantically. You see, the love fortune-telling stones ritual, which involves two stones placed about 10 meters apart, follows according to a legend. If you can walk from one stone to the other with your eyes closed, your wish for love will come true. However, if you need help to reach the second stone, it shows you might need help finding love. Now, as Senpai starts, he realizes his deep feelings for Nagatoro. He envisions a future where they reunite years after high school, having drifted apart. During this imagined lunch date, they reminisce and Nagatoro eventually leaves, thanking Senpai for his coffee, saying they should meet again, before getting picked up from what seems to be her boyfriend. Snapping out of this daydream or nightmare, Senpai admits to himself that he loves Nagatoro and is willing to do anything to be with her, especially after high school. He wants them to be together as lovers. The scene ends with Senpai holding her hand inside of his daydream. We now have chapter 110, The Handhold. Feeling self-conscious about how close Nagatoro is to him, Senpai reflects on his desire to ask her out, noticing his unusual behavior. Nagatoro inquires what's wrong. Senpai tries to cover it up by saying he needs to practice his art early in the morning. Later, Senpai confides in Hana about his struggles to find the right moment to confess his feelings to Nagatoro. Hana, despite her lack in romantic experience, offers help by teaching him the technique of love, drawing from her extensive knowledge of romance manga. So after reading him a manga, Hana concludes that if both people have mutual feelings, it's worth pursuing. She then asks Senpai if he feels that way about Nagatoro. As Senpai ponders this, we cut to a scene where he's hanging out with Nagatoro. He reaches out and takes her hand, and she responds by grasping it. They share a moment of happy embarrassment as they hold hands. Jumping to chapter 144, they end up at a lonely park, which actually pays tribute to Nanashi's first introduction of Nagatoro in his Pixiv comic from 2011. You can even tell from the details, from her sitting position to the medal she's holding, which are subtle nods that not many people may have noticed. At the park, Senpai congratulates Nagatoro on her big judo tournament win. She begins to tease him and eventually takes his hand, signaling it's now or never. Senpai, feeling the urgency, calls out her name, surprising her. He reflects on how he felt when he first met Nagatoro, describing the experience as being attacked by a wild beast. He even compares himself to a roach that the beast dragged into the light. Despite the initial harsh treatment and the ups and downs of the relationship, Senpai admits that his days have turned into bliss. He wanted to change himself and succeeded, bringing a new sparkle into his once dull world. And Nagatoro calls him out for being gross, but Senpai interrupts her by confessing his love and asking her out. Her face lights up and she shares that her life has also improved because of him. She accepts his proposal, saying that he must take responsibility for her, officially making them a couple. However, Senpai gets carried away and tries to kiss her.
I wasn't really familiar with your game,
which leads Nagatoro to tossing him to the ground like a sack of potatoes. On to chapter 148. They've held hands before but have never locked lips. Senpai awkwardly sits away from Nagatoro inside of her class as she quickly calls him out on this. She asks him to sit close to her in a smug way in order to talk to him. He sits on the couch she's on, but at a distance, where she calls him out again, saying only strangers would sit that far apart, calling them lovers. He agrees and moves closer. Both are very tense, and eventually Nagatoro breaks the silence by asking what's on Senpai's mind. He responds mumbling and gets flustered, but she gets the message, asking if he wants to kiss her. He nods and then goes in for it, sealing the deal. And both are more than excited, as I'm certain it's been on their minds for quite a while. And the page ends off with both walking together, holding hands like a couple, exchanging looks of happiness in that moment. It's real wholesome stuff. Something else that will bring you happiness is manga straight to your door. Yes, I, Louis Sankara, and the LA Manga team have all volumes of Nagatoro manga and other series that you love at lamangacafe.com. And if you order today, December 18th, you'll get your manga before Christmas. I'm only able to do this through contributions to the LA Manga channel from Familia like you. Thank you. And finally, the last chapter in 154. The series concludes with Senpai and Nagatoro at their high school graduation. Although Nagatoro is a second year and will be graduating, she gives her thoughts as the representative of her year. First, talking about trying her hardest to achieve her dreams of being a gold medal Olympic judo fighter, alluding that it was all thanks to her senpai. He's had his funny, creepy, and cool moments that inspired Nagatoro to pursue this dream, stating, "Since you've been at this school, you've really grown. Believe in yourself and do your best, senpai." Ending the speech. After senpai gets up representing his graduating class, he had a speech in his hand and tosses it to the side. He had a speech ready in hand but decided to toss it to the side, stating he's always wanted to live in his own world, but a certain girl dragged him into the spotlight, flipping it upside down for the better. I want to join hands with a person precious to me as we walk through life together. That is my dream. Senpai reflects on these moments and thanks everyone at the school, ending the graduation speech. We cut to him walking back to his art class one more time, reminiscing, when all of a sudden Nagatoro runs in wanting to congratulate him. She sits down on the old couch that they always used to hang out on and poses for senpai to paint her one more time. We fast forward to April 1st. Nagatoro celebrated her birthday with their friends Gamo-chan, Yoshi, and Sakura. When she mentioned that senpai couldn't be there because he lived in Tokyo, her friends surprised her with a special gift. They revealed that they had hidden senpai inside of a gift box earlier that day. Now thrilled by the surprise, the group spent the rest of the day enjoying cake, playing video games, and card games. As the party wound down and her friends left, Nagatoro and senpai were alone. She asked him if he felt lonely in Tokyo, to which he admitted he did. Nagatoro then shared her plans to move there too, leading senpai to propose that she live with him. She accepted the offer with joy. After the epilogue, Nanashi reflects on his most successful series of his career that ran for 7 years. And here are his words. In 2017, just as I was thinking about quitting my job at the time, Hirasuka-san from the magazine editorial department contacted me. And before I knew it, the series began. At first, I was very nervous about making a manga because I thought it would definitely get axed. However, thanks to the support of all the readers, it was adapted into an anime and had a serialization that continued for 6 years and 9 months. Thank you very much to all the readers who have read it so far and to all the people involved who have supported it. I was also very happy to receive enthusiastic support not only from within Japan, but also from many countries abroad. Comments on Manga Poke and fan letters have been a great encouragement to me, but I apologize for not being able to reply to them. I have poor writing skills. The story of Please Don't Bully Me, Nagatoro-san initially began as just a hobby piece that I drew online whenever I felt like it, and I think I've safely reached the destination for Nagatoro-san and senpai that I vaguely imagined since back then. When I announced the end of the series online, I received far more comments than I expected from people who were sad to see it end. Many emotions welled up inside of me, including but not limited to happiness that the work has been grown into something loved by so many, gratitude to all the fans, regret that is coming to an end, and a sense of nostalgia for the work. However, if I were to force myself to continue, I feel that it would deviate from what the work should be. So I've decided to put down my pen. The serialization of Don't Bully Me, Nagatoro-san will come to an end, but the days of Nagatoro and her senpai will continue on forever. With these thoughts and feelings in mind, I drew this final omake. I can't promise when, but when I feel like it, I will draw the daily lives of Nagatoro and her friends in the form of a one-shot. So readers, thank you all for reading this far. Overall, Nagatoro is an 8 out of 10. First starting off as a gag romance that turned into more of a formal romance story, fleshing out all its characters like Wimpy Senpai. You gotta understand, I grew up in my early teens with this manga, so it holds a special place in my heart. So initially I wanted to score it a 9, but realistically, it's an 8. Reading all of Nagatoro, it made me realize what kind of author would make this story. So I dove into their past. The author Nanashi is a very interesting and strange person looking into him. We can find that Nanashi was born in 1983 when the first commercial cell phone was invented, and when Studio Ghibli was found. Now, these two things have nothing to do with each other, but it just shows how old this man is. He was born in the Kagasawa Prefecture, which is adjacent to Tokyo, known as the popular residential area for those who work in Tokyo but prefer a significantly less urban lifestyle. Growing up, Nanashi mentions manga series that he read that inspired him. It's funny that the now mangaka mentions how his parents forbid him from reading any manga as a kid, but he hid it from them anyways. Reading popular series like Doraemon in middle school and transitioning into more mature series in high school like Berserk, Akira Toriyama works, and the Neon Genesis Evangelion manga. It's no wonder why I like this guy so much. Notably, he enjoyed the series, especially 3x3 Eyes, which influenced his style, being lewd, violent, and comedy based. He loved manga but didn't see it as his calling at the time. So after high school, he moved to the Saitama Prefecture in Japan and started working for an undisclosed gaming company. And in 2010, he published his first doujin, which, if you don't know what doujins are, they're self-published works. It was a one-shot by the name of Licho wa Suponpon. Probably butchered that. Now, I can't describe the plot in detail for obvious reasons, but the work follows a class president protecting her fellow classmates. So she has to give in to some demands at their school.
What the hell? Oh my God, no way.
Fast forward to 2012, at the age of 29, he left that video game company he worked for and started drawing lewd doujins for a living. He went under the username 774house. These doujins were getting published onto a site called Pixiv, a community for Japanese artists to share their works. It's here where he dropped a little series known as Nagatoro-san or Nagatoro Prototype, releasing on October 15th, 2011 to December 25th, 2015, with a total of 5 volumes. However, through continuous posting, it was picked up by Kodansha on November 1st, 2017, and the rest is history.